And we're live. We're ready to go. Uh, I should check. I'm gonna check to see if that plugin is still working because it probably broke again. Um, it actually worked this time. That's cool. That's cool. Uh, a 3 day lockdown in Kherson. I think it's mostly a preventative measure because they expect Russia will shell the city and they don't want people to die. I think that's basically what it's about. I don't think it's about anything more than that. It's just they expect Russian terrorism. It's not the first time they've expected Russian terrorism. At the end of the day, Russian terrorism is pretty predictable. Um, Speaking of parodies, what's like, this image is funny to me. Um, Here we go. There he is. So so yeah, I should send out a tweet that I started a thingy. 1 second, I'm gonna go do that for a sec. Uh, Anyways, Constantine, he can't come today because he has a his meeting ran late apparently. Yeah, at work, but that's okay. We'll just be by ourselves. Yeah, I just saw his face again. Oh god. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I watched this video and what I saw, I was watching like this part of his face, like up here, and this part of his face wasn't doing so much. It was, I think it was all BS. I think he was just yelling into the camera. I don't think his words mean anything. I'm not impressed. He doesn't show any genuine emotions in these videos. It's all just yelling, and maybe just random yelling impacts some people, but I don't buy it. I think it's all BS. Uh, Sorry. Were you eating a pistol by chance? I saw that video today of the pistol thing, and I shared it with a few people, and they were so disgusted by it that I decided to tweet it out. And then everybody was equally disgusted. I'm just happy. I'm just happy I could bring that disgust to everybody. The terrible video. Anyways, regarding the Kherson area, um, Russia claims that they claimed this island. I don't actually know if they control the island. I honestly think they don't, but they claimed this one right here. See, I could mark it red. They claimed it. I don't think it's true though, so I'm gonna make it yellow again. Um, but yeah, that's kind of river news for today. Um, yeah. Anyways, so I'm not really sure where to start with news today. Um, I guess I could start with like the most basic news. Um, First off, there have been stories in the Zaporizhia area. There was a story yesterday that Ukraine attacked somewhere in this area, which I think. Anyway, so there was a story that they attacked somewhere here, and then there was another story that they attacked somewhere over here near Myrna. Uh, but I think both of these are basically completely bunk at this point. Uh, First off, talking to officers in the South. I mean, I don't know officers in like these very specific areas, but just officers who are generally in the South. They all said that there wasn't. there weren't attacks. Like just straight out, there were not attacks. Now there could be localized things that they wouldn't know about because it's just so small that it wouldn't trickle to them necessarily. And for example, I kind of think near Myrna, I don't know if they would be coming from the north or from the west, but there was a video from near here where Ukraine apparently, and this is not proven, but Ukraine apparently moved up about 15 men. So it was like one squad. They moved up around 15 men. They found a machine gun nest, and then they pulled out. And that's it. That's the offensive. And then over here, near Vuhledar, there were similar stories that Ukraine attacked Mikilsky and then Pavlivka, and then the Russians put up a heroic defense. Heroic. It wasn't just a defense. Okay, I need you to understand. This was a heroic defense. Okay, and and yeah, that's they saved the day. They're all heroes, obviously. Okay, so that's what happened here, and also that didn't happen. It also there wasn't an attack here either. So there may have been like some like recon, but there was not a big attack. Okay, so and then yeah, so that's kind of. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Ploy has been getting shelled, especially from what I understand, Ukraine has been largely shelling this area right here, which is like this mineral thing. Anyway, so Ukraine has been largely shelling here in Ploy, although also other places, but mostly there. And there have been videos of like BMPs and various types of howitzers and stuff being destroyed right there. So, um, so yeah, this whole kind of area is Russia's trying to hype it up into something it is not. That's kind of the story of it. Well, what is actually happening is the Ukraine is shelling this area a little bit more than they used to, especially like these three towns, and also kind of Vasilivka and the little town that I totally forgot the name of, but I marked it, so that's good. Where is it? Oh, this one. Uh, Dolinka. Yeah, they've been shelling here too, and I want to point out that a lot of these forest strips, like all of these little forest strips, are just chock full of Russian vehicles. And every once in a while, there's a video of Ukraine blowing up a vehicle in one of these just like random forest strips. So all of these forest strips, like in this area here, and also here, and also here, they're all just full of vehicles. I don't know how many vehicles. There might be like, 100 or something. I don't know. I have no idea how many. But there are vehicles of all sorts. There's BMPs, there's like KAMAZ trucks, there's tanks, there are artillery pieces. Like, for example, I believe today, right here, Ukraine blew up a grad, which was cool, I guess. So, but they've like it's all sorts of vehicles. It's not just armor. It's not just even necessarily like combat vehicles. A lot of them are just trucks and stuff. Um, so anyways, so that's kind of what's happening in the South. More interesting to me, and this is also coming strictly from Russian sources, so it could be bullshit, but I do kind of think it's true. In the past like 48 hours, there are a lot of reports from from Horlivka over to Petrivka. So like this arc right here, this whole arc from this is Horlivka, this is Petrivka. So this whole arc, they say that Ukraine has doubled the amount of artillery fire that they were shooting before, and then there was a list of towns, of all the towns that they've been shooting apparently. So I put little dots on all the towns. So there's Petrivka, there's like all these towns. This one, and there's the Netsk obviously, and Makivka, and Yasu. Anyway, this one that I can never remember how to say. So anyways, so these are all of the towns that they've listed, as being shelled, and they're claiming, and I kind of think it's true, that Ukraine is shooting twice as many shells per day now than they were prior to 2 days ago. Um, so what that means, I don't really know. It doesn't mean necessarily that Ukraine is going to attack here. A lot of these towns, like this one, Valdivaka, this is a major supply hub, and they push supplies kind of, down all of these kind of highways. So then they often push supplies first to these three towns, which, for a while were kind of like headquarters, but they've been so thoroughly bombed at this point that I don't know if they use them anymore. But then now they push them kind of, Petrivka and Yehorivka, which Yehorivka is also pretty heavily shelled by now, and also they move up this highway, so they go to like Blahodatny and Vladimirivka. So all of these towns on all of these highways, Ukraine shells pretty frequently, because it's all like a logistics network. And then kind of similarly, these three towns are part of the major logistics network. So anyway, I can't really say them. I've never like practiced saying them, so I can't. Anyway, so these three towns are part of that logistics network. These two were in Russian control prior to the full-scale invasion, and this one was captured in, I don't know, May of last year, or apparently May 5th of last year. So that's like, almost exactly a year ago. This was captured, apparently. Anyway, so uh, has cloud cover cleared up? I think a little bit. I don't really know, to be honest. I haven't been looking at satellites. I always have really bad luck with satellites. Like the other day, I tried to look at something, and it was like I was like, "There's one town I'm going to look at." I opened it, and it was the only town with a cloud over it. And I was like, I give up. But anyways, the, I don't know. I don't know, what any of the shelling means, other than it's around supply networks, so that's logical at least. And kind of moving up, Russia. This is kind of a weird area because I don't know if Russia actually, is physically in this location. I actually kind of think they're not, but it is under Russian control. Um, so this kind of area, which is actually, pretty unfortunate that Ukraine lost this, especially the way they lost it, and maybe there will be a story written about that, one day. But this area that is, north of Avdiivka on this little bit of highway, is kind of unfortunately in Russian control. Although I don't think there's actually any Russians here. I think the Russians are actually kind of like over here, but they control this through ways other than being there. And I don't even really know if I can get into detail, but you might be able to figure it out. Yeah, things are definitely starting to dry up. I just don't know much about the clouds. I'm sure the clouds are lessening, although there have been a little bit of clouds recently. I know because we can just look. Let's just look. Uh, let's just click the buttons. Uh, we can click the buttons. and just look at it. It'd be great. Just go to the current day, whatever. So this would be the third. Look at that. Uh, Load. Well, we saw briefly. Oh, there we go. So there's yeah. So this was the other day. This was yesterday. So it's nice and clear. Nice and clear. You can see everything. You can even zoom in on some of these towns if we wanted to. Uh, so this is a town that Ukraine is apparently shelling. Anyway, so yeah, it's clearing up. Um, yeah, there's some clouds. Anyway, so there's always obviously going to be some clouds, so it's not. But anyway, so moving on to the next topic. Um, I'm kind of sticking to the theme of Ukrainian artillery because in Bakhmut, Russians are claiming that they are being shelled more now than they have been recently. And normally I wouldn't believe this, but I just happen to know um, that Ukraine has moved more artillery into Bakhmut. So I do actually believe that they're getting shelled more than they were before. Um, I do. The artillery that Ukraine moved in is typically counter battery artillery. Um, so they're likely targeting Russian artillery, or at least things further out. They're not the sort of artillery that targets infantry or something. They usually target further out. Typically, they shoot, like radars and electronic warfare, enemy artillery, things like that. So in Bakhmut, there are so many conflicting stories at this point. From I've heard from people who are fighting in this general area, and they've told stories about night fighting, where they've taken out lots of Russian infantry at night. The Russians are doing this thing where they have one member of likely the VDV, very likely the VDV actually, that has night vision, and they give him a squad, maybe 10 to 15 guys, none of whom have night vision, and they just kind of follow him around. It's like a mother duck leading her ducklings around, and they just kind of follow him, and everywhere he goes, they go, and they kind of move in like a little line everywhere, like little ducks. And the easiest way to counter this is to have multiple guys with night vision sit around in a box, and when they move into the box, you shoot them all. So that's kind of a thing that was happening in this general area around the airplane. This is the airplane. So just kind of around here, Russia was trying to infiltrate and push, all around, and from what I understand, they basically got massacred. So that's kind of what I've heard from here. Then there are other stories that this college was originally captured by the Russians, and then Ukraine, they claim to have counterattacked and pushed Russia out, and they claimed it was a gray area for a while, and then they claimed that they actually took control of the school, and now I have no idea what's going on. I have no clue. There's so many conflicting stories. It's and also they might not even be conflicting stories. They might all actually be true. It's just that things change so quickly that what's true now might be false in 30 minutes. So I don't really know how to interpret it, other than I'm just drawing lots of gray area. There's kind of similar news about this medical school where Ukraine they're claiming that they made it into a gray area, and then Russia says that that never happened, and there's just all this debate and fighting, and I'm not really sure. I'm just marking it as a gray area because gray equals I don't know, because this kind of urban combat is a rapidly evolving thing. It's kind of pointless to map, really. And this northern area, from what I understand, is relatively stable, and even further north, near Khomede, Russia has been constantly attacking, and Ukraine is defending, and they've had no success. Same pretty much goes for Beldanivka, and they're moving kind of they're trying to move generally west towards Markove, and also they have not moved. So this whole kind of Bakhmut area is relatively stable. They're also trying to generally move west along these along this canal, trying to generally move west uh, towards just any west at all. I don't think there is even a target. They're just trying to go west, just to expand their area of control, and they have not been able to. And it's a video I believe filmed right here, which well, let me see if I can find that video real fast. Uh, and I'll also look at the comments to see if you have any comments. Uh, yeah, here's the video. So this was kind of an exciting video. It made a big boom. This video is a few days old, but there's just other things going on that I didn't really talk about it. So I just figured I'd talk about it now, especially since there's this second video. I didn't see when this first video first came out, but that's a pretty big boom. This is the second video of the same thing. Just from a different angle. It's from the infantryman. But this area that this is occurring in, Ukraine has recently had numerous successful offensives, offensive actions. I don't want to like over exaggerate what's going on here, but they've moved up quite a bit, a number of times actually. It's been an ongoing thing where they've removed Russia out of a lot of defensive positions, and then they blew up whatever that was. So this is kind of the position I'm talking about. I think this is where it is anyway. Pretty sure it's here. In this video, you see this forest kind of going on this like 45-degree angle, and then this one that kind of follows the canal, and then here you have like the one that follows the canal and this like 45-degree angle thing. I think this is where it is. I'm pretty sure. I don't really know where else it would be, to be honest. But so in the recent past, Ukraine first they pushed up this forest strip here, and they kind of established themselves here. Then they moved this way, and they kind of cleared out all of the Russians who were there, and then they eventually moved down this forest strip into here, and then they moved that way and cleared all this forest strip out. So the Russian positions were once like here, and then they're pushed back. Russians, I believe, still control this little forest here, and they control everything on the other side of the canal. Whereas Ukraine has cleared out basically everything to the west of the canal, and they also moved up and captured this area right here, which I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think is where this video was filmed. But I'm not really sure on that. But anyways, so that's kind of the situation here. So Ukraine would like to cross this canal if they can. It's just kind of easier said than done. And we can kind of look into the 3D view here. Where am I? Okay. So this is the 3D view. Uh, it's I don't really know how crossing this canal is going to work out. It seems like a hard thing to do. Maybe easier up here. I'm not really sure, but we'll see what happens. This is like an ongoing event that has been, it's several months in the making. It's not something that they do all at once. It it would be an interesting thing if they can get these two towns back, and it'd be kind of like a bridgehead underneath of Bakhmut. It'd be an interesting development. I don't know if that's ever going to happen though. So there's that. I don't know. Damn the canal. The water. I mean, well, right now the water might be an issue, just because of the snow melt. It might be full. But the water is not really the issue because it's not really that deep. It's more just the having to climb the hill and doing it under artillery and mortar fire, and being under threat of being bombed by like 500 kilogram bombs. Those are all kind of the bigger issues. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just watch the video again. I don't really think there's that much water there to begin with. It's the water is not the issue. It's the everything else is the issue. So anyways, so that's kind of a thing. Uh, now beyond that, there was another interesting sort of development. First, I got news from Bilohorivka, which is what this is. What I just zoomed into, south of Kremenna and east of Siversk. So Bilohorivka. We got news that I didn't know how to map. So I mapped it like this, but I'll describe it in words better. Basically, the news was that this industrial area, Ukraine controls part of it. I don't know what part. Maybe it's this building. Maybe it's that building. I don't know. They control part of this industrial thing. Russia controls part of it. I don't know what part. Maybe there. I don't know. So Ukraine controls part of it, and Russia controls part of it, and the rest of it is kind of no man's land sort of thing. Like no one really goes into the rest of it so much. Like I don't think there's even really fighting there. Like it's just kind of like Ukraine's in one part and Russia's in the other part, and nobody's in the middle. So that's how it was described to me. So that is the one piece of news that I've gotten from a very reliable source. Now we move on to the Russians. They said that they had taken up a position in this factory, and that they had been cut off from resupply, because the road is under fire control by Ukraine. So these two stories, that I got, the one that I got from a reliable source, and the other that I got from random Russians yelling on the internet, they actually are not that different, when you think about it. I'll go to the 3D view just to make it more fun, I guess. So for example, like I don't know. So if we assume that Ukraine controls some part of the factory, which would probably be over here, and Russia controls some part, which would probably be over there, and that's coming from a reliable source, and then the less reliable source is saying that the resupply road is cut off. This kind of is possible because Ukraine controls the high ground, and they can shoot down on this road and cause all sorts of problems. So that it makes sense. It's plausible. I don't know if it's true, but it's plausible. Russia has said that they have moved in and captured this whole thing, which I don't think is true. Um, one second. I'll be right back. Be right back. Okay, sorry. I had my dog was doing a thing. Anyway, so I'm back. Anyway, so as I was saying, this whole Bulharivka area, um, I don't think it's actually changed in the past few days. The Russians are trying to make it sound like things are happening and that they're having heroic victories. It's back to their heroics. You know, they had 100 guys trapped in this building. They heroically broke the siege. They ran down this road of death. It was a road of death. Everyone was dying. They ran in, they kicked all the Ukrainians out, and they saved the day. Everything is great. We're all heroes. Hurrah! That's their message. It's bullshit. In reality, I don't think anything has changed. I've reached out to the guy who gave me the initial report, the guy who told me that part of it's under Ukrainian control, part of it's under Russian control. I've reached out to him. I'm awaiting his response. So uh, I fully expect his response to be nothing changed. I do not expect him to say the Russians heroically charged down the road and saved everybody. Save them from what? Anyway, what is there to save them from? They weren't even in combat. They were on different parts of a big facility, and they weren't even fighting each other. So, anyways, that is the Bilahorivka news that I know of. Now to to move on. I don't really have any news from this whole northern section. There's really in the past 2 days I have nothing. So that's kind of like all the news I got. There are some other small items maybe. Um, Not really though. Uh, there was a Shahid attack in Kitzurib. There was some bombs dropped all around Kherson. Really, there are all sorts of bombings and missile strikes. Lots of civilians killed. There was a Shahid attack on an oil refinery in kind of the central part of Ukraine, which was actually unfortunate, and I don't think very highly reported. There was a Shahid attack in Dnipro. There was a missile strike in Kramatorsk that blew up a school, and in finding the school, I found a really cute bird. I like the bird so much. I want to show you the bird. Uh, this is the bird. Look at him. Sorry. Anyways, so I found a bird when I was looking for this school. But anyways, this school, more seriously, there was a S-300 landed right in this road. I don't think it actually hit the school, but it landed right there and kind of blew up out the windows. Um, and then and yeah, there was a Shahid strike on this right here, this building. They claim to hit the Georgian Legion, but I don't know if that's actually true. Um, and yeah, that's it's kind of like all and there's more bombs in Chernihiv, or Sumy actually. But that's kind of it. That's kind of all the news. That's kind of 2 days worth of news. Oh, and then obviously Ukraine hit this refinery in Russia with a drone, which upset the Russians, and then they also they hit this military base in Russia where they blew up a heavy lift airplane. They completely demolished one airplane. I think it's one of these maybe. They completely demolished one, and the second one was heavily perforated, which is typically bad for airplanes to be perforated. In Moscow, there was that the event where Putin was sleeping on top of the Kremlin, and a drone blew up right over him and nearly assassinated him. It was we keep telling him that he shouldn't sleep on top of the Kremlin. He should probably sleep inside of it on a bed, but he always declines and sleeps on the roof. And there's also a large fire at this kind of a helicopter base near St. Petersburg. Um, so that's about it. That's all I got. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Hey. Um, yeah. Oh, and Ukraine hit Alkevsk, presumably with Gimler's. Um, uh, they also hit Mospana. This, I believe, here they hit, I don't actually know where it hit. I just marked it arbitrarily, but I believe here and Mospina, or however you say it, this I believe was like a repair center, I think, and in Alkevsk, I have no clue what it was. Um, I also hit Belmok and Tokmak, and yep. So that's that. That's all I got. There wasn't too much. It's only 2 days worth of news anyway. And most of the news is nothing happened. The news, if you're to sum it all up, nothing happened. There's like really not that much happened. Almost everything that happened didn't actually happen. How much ammo that they have? A lot. From what I've heard, and I don't know if these numbers are true, so just take it with a grain of salt. I don't actually know if it's true. But from what I've heard, Ukraine has around 1,300 armored vehicles and around 800 pieces of artillery. Um, and when I say armored vehicles, I don't mean tanks, although there are tanks, obviously. Some of them are like Humvees and MRAPs. So we're kind of using the term armor very liberally. Uh, and artillery similarly doesn't necessarily mean a howitzer. Some of it is like rockets on the back of a pickup truck. Okay, so these are kind of liberal terms, but I've heard that they have around 1,300 pieces of armor and around 800 artillery pieces that they can use in an offensive. How much ammo they have, I don't know, probably enough. They've been saving. Anyways, that's all the news I have for today. So I'm gonna stop now. So thank you for coming, everybody, and we'll be back on Tuesday, and hopefully there'll